In the midst of the roiling ocean, the colossal octopus's tentacles coiled inward, its immense form hurtling towards Fang Pan like a living mountain, its approach a blur of purplish black. Before it could strike, the surrounding waters boiled with pressure, sending Fang Pan flying back with force, only stabilizing after several wobbles. As the octopus closed in, its tentacles lashed out, trailing thunderous arcs through the sea. Fang Pan's heart raced, but his mind remained calm. In a flash of azure light, he split into 5 clones, each fleeing in different directions. The octopus faltered momentarily, caught off guard by his trick, but it quickly recovered, its tentacles crashing into the seabed, carving deep scars into the earth. With that moment of advantage, the clones darted upwards, racing toward the surface like bolts of lightning. The beast's fury erupted in a deafening roar as its eyes glowed with a dangerous green light. It unleashed 5 pillars of purplish-black lightning, each as thick as a water tank, striking with unerring precision. 4 clones were destroyed in the blink of an eye, but the remaining one was only sent hurtling backward, a spurt of blood staining the water. Despite the injury, Fang Pan's protective armor withstood the brunt of the strike, though it was left severely battered. The chase continued, Fang Pan speeding toward the surface as a streak of azure light, the octopus close behind, its massive body matching his pace in the depths. Their clash echoed through the sea, but Fang Pan's advantage in speed was undeniable. Far behind, Han Li, having observed the unfolding battle, followed their path, his thoughts conflicted. His plan had succeeded so far, but he feared that the octopus alone would not be enough to finish the job. He followed the trail of energy for nearly an hour, then halted as the sea ahead churned violently. At its center, a massive ball of light surged with purple lightning and black mist, a terrifying force that shattered the sea itself. Han Li's heart trembled as he analyzed the situation. The giant octopus had unleashed a domain-like power, but it seemed to be something less than a true spirit domain. His eyes locked onto the chaotic center, where the octopus and Fang Pan clashed. The octopus had shrunk, now more agile, but Fang Pan was struggling, his power seemingly stifled by the force surrounding them. Despite his dire state, a silver scroll hovered above Fang Pan's head, glowing with protective runes. The battle raged on, Fang Pan's strength waning, the octopus's relentless assault pressing him further. Yet, in a final act of desperation, Fang Pan revealed an azure worm pill, its potent energy surging through him, revitalizing his body with an overwhelming power. His aura surged, his cultivation soaring to heights near that of the octopus. With a roar, he used his blood essence to revive the silver scroll, unleashing a massive fireball of silver light that pushed back the octopus's relentless attacks. In that fleeting moment, Fang Pan's shadow blurred across the sky, his black saber appearing in hand. 7 clones were conjured, each attacking with precision, and together their saber strikes tore through the octopus's barrier, shattering it with devastating force. As the barrier exploded, Fang Pan seized the moment, vanishing into the sea, leaving the enraged octopus behind in a cloud of chaos. A mournful sigh escaped Han Li's lips as he glanced toward the direction where Fang Pan had fled. Though the foe had been gravely wounded, the resolve to hunt him down would still persist in time. Han Li, unperturbed, turned away from the enraged octopus that raged in the distance, and with a blur of motion, he dove deep into the sea, vanishing into the abyss. He flew for countless miles, cautiously ensuring he was undetected, before emerging from the water with a thunderous crack of lightning. In the blink of an eye, his figure vanished again, reappearing tens of thousands of miles away, and again, until he arrived at a remote island. There, he began a meticulous and calculated setup, arranging a star array similar to the one he had crafted on Darkvale Island. He fortified the island with arrays, transforming it into a sanctuary that could withstand even a late true immortal's assault. With a satisfied breath, Han Li seated himself in the center, awaiting the inevitable. Time passed, and the island shimmered with a radiant spectacle, drawing the gaze of the heavens themselves. The constellations above aligned, and 7 beams of starlight descended upon the land, creating a booming sound that could be heard for miles. Despite the desolation of the area, Han Li was not distracted, knowing he was safe for now. Yet unease lingered as the mark on his nascent soul stirred. A grim sense of certainty settled over him. Fang Ban would soon recover. After several months of silence, a triumphant roar echoed through the mountains of the primordial wave continent. Fang Ban had broken through to the late true Immortal Realm, his body radiating with newfound power. His joy quickly soured into cold malice as he swore vengeance. Without a moment's hesitation, he surged forward, leaving a streak of azure light in his wake. Meanwhile, Han Li sensed the stir of the tracking mark within him and knew his pursuer had reached a dangerous new level. Without slowing, he flew across the skies, intent on evading the hunter, but the distance between them dwindled rapidly. Soon, Fang Ban's aura emerged from the horizon, and the chase was on. Fang Ban, aware of Han Li's power, doubled his speed, his body transforming into an azure shadow as his roar shattered the air. The sound waves rippled through the very fabric of space, leaving Han Li dizzy, momentarily halting his lightning array. A saber projection ripped through the air, shattering the array as Han Li barely managed to avoid its deadly strike. His form shifted into the giant mountain ape, but Fang Ban's clone technique soon overwhelmed him. 3 Fang Bans surrounded the giant ape, sabers flashing with deadly intent. In a flash of golden light, the ape's fur erupted into countless strands of radiant golden fur, sending the clones scattering. But even the mighty ape was pushed back by the barriers Fang Ban erected. Without hesitation, Han Li transformed into a lightning bird, unleashing his speed and power. Yet Fang Ban pursued relentlessly, knowing that the relentless use of lightning would soon drain Han Li's energy. For days, the chase continued, both sides displaying mastery of their techniques, Han Li darting through the sky with lightning speed, Fang Ban closing in on him. Finally, a dilapidated temple became Han Li's refuge. He paused, sensing Fang Ban's approach. Without delay, Han Li launched himself into the sky once more, continuing his flight as an azure streak, barely keeping ahead of Fang Ban. In the distance, a mountain range loomed ahead, and Han Li dove toward it. The mountain's snowy peaks were soon veiled in thick mists, as though the earth itself was preparing for the next clash of powers. The final battle loomed ever closer, and Han Li's determination to survive had reached its peak. A surge of radiant silver light tore through the mist, conjuring up a vision of resplendent palaces, bridges of white jade, and mountains interwoven with floating structures, presenting an ethereal, immortal landscape. The sight was magnificent, but Fang Ban, appearing in the midst of this mirage, scowled in disdain. "So, you've been busy," he sneered. "Let's see what other tricks you've prepared." He descended swiftly, cutting through the fog and landing atop a mountain peak, his eyes narrowing as he surveyed the illusion. But his senses betrayed him. Han Li's exact location eluded him. Only a vague impression remained. Fury ignited within him as he blurred into motion, and 6 identical clones erupted from his form, each Fang Ban speeding off in a separate direction, azure light trailing in their wake. The clones scoured the surroundings, only to converge back to the original point, each one unsuccessful. But then a realization struck one Fang Ban, who knelt and pressed his palm to the ground. "An array within an array," he muttered, grim understanding washing over him. At once, the 7 Fang Bans arranged themselves in a circle, their backs to one another, as they unsheathed their black sabers, unleashing a flurry of saber strikes that expanded into a deadly storm of razor-sharp projections. The air was rent with violent winds, the once perfect illusion of palaces warping and distorting beneath the relentless power. The thunderous clash of energy rang out, and the illusion shattered, revealing the true state of the mountaintop. A plateau of white jade stone etched with intricate runes. In the center lay a strange beast surrounded by towering stone pillars adorned with glimmering crystals. The sight halted Fang Ban in his tracks as he turned to spot Han Li, standing several thousand feet away, his attention fixed on a round array plate in his hands, casting incantations as a faint smile curved his lips. Han Li, having activated the formidable Calabash illusory light array, had depleted his resources, spirit stones, great earth fruits, and even high-quality treasures. Yet he knew the stakes. This array, an immensely powerful illusion designed to trap those below the golden immortal stage, would either end Fang Ban or consume them both. But the array's cost was steep. It threatened the user as much as the target, and its activation was time-consuming. To buy time, Han Li had laid down a 9 palaces heavenly array. Feeling the weight of impending danger, Fang Pan reacted swiftly, charging at Han Li with a murderous glare, saber raised. Sweat beaded on Han Li's forehead as he completed the final incantation. Suddenly, the air filled with vibrant lights as the stone pillars surged with energy and Fang Pan's vision blurred. Stumbling forward, he passed through an unseen barrier and found himself in a dim hall, its stone pillars and flickering green flames seeming oddly familiar. Chains clattered, and a deep voice echoed within the chamber. "How dare you raise your blade at me? Are you plotting my death?" The voice, cold and commanding, froze Fang Pan in his tracks. He looked ahead to see a towering figure draped in white with zombie-like features. His heart pounded, confusion and recognition clashing within him. "Master," he muttered, but a harsh realization followed. "No, you're but an illusion." In a rage, Fang Pan attacked, unleashing his clones, but the zombie figure unleashed a suffocating aura, summoning chains that lashed out, ensnaring and crushing Fang Pan's clones with brutal precision. Blood poured from their bodies as the zombie-like man mocked him. "I taught you everything, yet you would betray me?" Doubt flickered in Fang Pan's eyes as the scene distorted before him. Was this truly an illusion, or had he stepped into a teleportation trap? Elsewhere, Han Li found himself caught within the same illusory array. The wind howled, and his vision filled with a vast, expressionless face in the heavens, growing indistinct. A purple light flashed, and a rift in the sky opened, revealing a shimmering gate to the Immortal Realm. For a fleeting moment, Han Li believed he was facing his ascension tribulation. But then, a thunderous crash shattered his reverie as a bolt of 7-colored lightning descended upon him. Reacting instinctively, Han Li unleashed a blast of golden lightning fire, but it was futile. The lightning struck him, and his body was consumed in a burst of violent energy. As he plummeted toward the ground, his profound heavenly spirit-slash sword shattered, and his body was left broken and scorched. Yet, as the giant face above dissipated, a vast rift opened, revealing an endless abyss. The darkness called to him with an eerie allure, urging him toward its depths. Han Li's body teetered on the brink of destruction, unable to stir a single muscle. Helplessly, he drifted toward the vast, inky rift in the heavens. His mind screamed for clarity, denying the illusion that clouded his senses, but his strength was utterly depleted. His body lay motionless, a puppet to the whims of a higher power. In that moment of despair, ripples tore through the air, distorting the space around the rift. 3 shadowy figures, ethereal and haunting, emerged, seemingly slow but closing in with unthinkable speed. They were spectral, their forms insubstantial save for their heads, which mirrored Han Li's own features. A chill ran through him. Were these inner demons? No, these were extra-realm heavenly devils. The closest devil lunged forward, crashing into Han Li's immobile form. A dull thud rang out, followed by a blaze of crimson as Han Li's body shattered, his flesh torn into countless pieces. His soul, now a faint azure shadow, lingered in agony, immobile as the devils descended upon him. Their fangs sunk deep into his soul, tearing at its essence with ravenous hunger. The pain was unimaginable, beyond any torment he had ever endured. His consciousness began to fade, as did his soul, leaving him questioning his very existence. Was this all an illusion? A trick of the mind? But before he could surrender to the void, a cold voice pierced through the darkness, snapping him back to reality like a sudden jolt of ice-cold water. Mo Guang's voice rang in his ears, and the devils recoiled, vanishing as swiftly as they had appeared. Han Li found himself back on the mountain summit, the array plate still in hand, and Fang Pan, frozen in mid-strike, his blade inches from Han Li's head. "Thank you, fellow Taoist Mo Guang," Han Li thought with a shudder, his heart racing. Indeed, this is a formidable array. Mo Guang's voice echoed in his mind. But it's a good thing that extra-realm heavenly devils like myself can perceive and dismantle illusions. Otherwise, you would have been lost. Han Li's mind cleared, and he pressed the array plate, reciting an incantation that summoned a 5-colored light. His surroundings blurred before shifting into a dimly lit hall. Before him, Fang Pan knelt, kowtowing in fear before a sinister figure, an undead man, chains coiling around his body. He was seated upon a black throne, his voice as cold as death. "Why did you use the origin separation law chains without permission?" the zombie-like man demanded. Fang Pan trembled, explaining that he had been forced to use them against an immensely powerful foe. This man, Han Li, was an immortal who had ascended from a lower realm, wielding a crystal imbued with time laws. The chain of events became clear. Han Li had become the target due to the power of the crystal. Han Li, intrigued, stepped closer to the zombie-like man and took his seat, merging with the figure's form. He asked coldly, "Who exactly is this man, and why did you fight him?" Fang Pan's answer revealed a name, Han Li, imbued with the power of time, a rare and coveted prize. Han Li pressed further, seeking the source of their orders, but Fang Pan refused to divulge the identity of their true master. Angered, the undead man struck Fang Pan with ruthless precision, sending him crashing into the stone pillars, blood splattering across the hall. "Even now you refuse to speak." The zombie growled. The black chains lifted, swirling ominously in the air. The pressure mounted, suffocating Fang Pan beneath its weight. "Speak!" Fang Pan, broken and desperate, finally agreed to reveal the name. But before he could, his body convulsed in agony. A spiritual aura not his own erupted from him, causing the illusion to shudder. Han Li's heart sank as the illusion began to unravel, and he acted swiftly, forcing Fang Pan's mouth open and using the last of his heavy water lightning beads to silence him. The explosion that followed was cataclysmic. Purple and azure lightning tore through the air, a destructive force that obliterated everything in its path. A black sun rose from the chaos, shaking the very foundations of the world. Han Li, high above the carnage, surveyed the aftermath with a grim expression. Though Fang Pan was dead, the true mastermind still loomed in the shadows. As the dust settled, Han Li descended, the remnants of the battle before him. He found Fang Pan's storage bracelet and the black saber, collecting the spoils of victory. Yet a heavy silence lingered, for the true enemy had yet to show their face. Han Li's path was far from over. After travelling for tens of thousands of kilometers, Han Li sighed in relief. Though the immediate danger had passed, he knew his journey was far from over. With a sweep of his spiritual sense, he inspected the surroundings and then set course for a nearby city. Soon, he arrived at Moonview City. His appearance altered once again. This time, he took the guise of a young scholar in his 30s, concealing his cultivation and casually fanning himself as he joined the city's bustling crowd. Moonview City, situated in the eastern region of the primordial wave continent, was smaller than Black Wind City but still a prosperous hub. Unlike Seaside City, this city had a majority of mortal inhabitants, with cultivators being rare and mostly of low cultivation. Cultivators, though few, concealed their auras to blend in with the masses, abiding by the rules established by immortal forces to maintain order. While mortal cities often restricted cultivators' abilities, Moonview City had special marketplaces where cultivators could freely show their powers. Han Li made his way to one such marketplace, heading for a tall pagoda where teleportation arrays were housed. Inside, 5 teleportation arrays were arranged around the hall, each attended by a golden-robed cultivator. After a brief inspection, Han Li moved toward the central array, where he was informed by one of the attendants to first purchase a teleportation talisman. Following the instructions, Han Li transformed into a middle-aged man with a yellow complexion. Adopting a new identity as Li Yufei from the precious Jade Mountain Range, he then purchased his talisman and chose Red Lake City as his destination. Arriving in Thunderclap City on the easternmost coast, Han Li marveled at the massive urgent lightning trees that shielded the city from the constant thunderstorms of the nearby Thunderstorm Sea. These trees absorbed lightning and provided the city with perpetual light. Thunderclap City was a gathering place for high-grade cultivators, and Han Li, now in his new form, stepped out onto the city's bustling streets. As he walked, a young man, Gu Sanming, approached him, offering to guide him around the city. After a brief exchange, Han Li inquired about the safest way to cross the Thunderstorm Sea. Gu Sanming, eager to help, explained the seafaring lightning boats, special flying vessels designed to withstand the fearsome storms of the Thunderstorm Sea. These boats were made from lightning-resistant materials and coated with a membrane of urgent lightning tree sap. Though expensive at 500 top-grade spirit stones per person, the boats were the safest option for crossing the perilous sea. Han Li, intrigued by the description, decided to inspect the boats himself, setting the young guide's heart racing with anticipation of a generous reward should Han Li book a passage.